Hey, guys. All right, back to do another one of these. Might be a little short. Again, 20 minutes instead of 30 because I'm actually getting really, really eager to keep writing the story I'm working on. I actually posted the first chapter. I'll link it to you in the description if you care for it. I don't know if you do. I mean, I'll put the link in the next video if you guys want it.
Hoping I didn't sound patronizing.
Ah, shit. Hold on. Okay, I got the sound thing fixed.
I need a place to start if I have any chance of doing this. Like with the star spawn. Until Pilot set part of it on fire, I didn't have any place to begin. In this case, since I have no idea what kind of locking mechanism I might not be seeing, I need the schematics. Velvet Remedy and Steelhose both nodded. Want schematics for the elevator coming right up.
What, you have those
Oh,
handy?
goddesses. Velvet Remedy whimpered. Little Pip. I was studying the elevator schematic Steelhose had found on my pip buck. Velvet had been watching me, and I realized what she had just seen. I looked at her, then looked away and nodded. I didn't have anything to say on the matter. Steelhose whinnied. I put up a hoof, signaling for him to say nothing. I didn't know if his words would be, "I told you so," or a guilt-laden apology, but I didn't think I could handle either one of those. I had saved him. It had cost me a bit of my poniness. What was done was done. I couldn't say I didn't regret it, but I could say I would do it again, even knowing the outcome. Really, I said, feeling a hitch in my throat. It's not that bad. I hardly notice the itch anymore.
Oh boy.
I shifted my attention to the shaft and the elevator below. I focused, reaching out, attempting to manifest my magic on the far side of the shield. This was a bit of a new trick, but there was no reason it shouldn't work. I remembered the super alicorn from the Philadelphia crater, whose shield was so powerful she couldn't manifest magic through it. This shield was nothing compared to that one. I thought of Velvet Remedy casting her anesthetic spell inside of the alicorn's shield. I could do this. I was satisfied to see the glow of my magic surround the elevator car.
Also, I didn't realize they were talking about the pit buck melded to her leg. I thought they were talking about the schematics. Like, how bad is that locking mechanism? Oh, I mean, I'm just no. They're talking about the transhumanism little Pip has been forced into.
I focused on the thick yet simple clamps, rotating the screws that held them together until I heard them fall apart. Concentrating, I slowly lifted the elevator car upwards, pulling it towards the energy shield. I held my breath as the top of the car reached the field of blue light. Moment of truth. Was Velvet right? The car continued to lift, gliding through the field as if it was nothing but a film of water. I exhaled gratefully. In moments, it was hovering in front of us. I pushed the car's clattering gate open. "Fillies and gentle colts," I announced with a sweeping bow. "Your chariot awaits."
You are such a fucking nerd.
As I floated the elevator car down towards the basement, Velvet Remedy and I rode alone. The three of us had barely gotten onto the elevator when we realized the problem. With Steelhoof's extra bulk, there was barely enough room for the three of us. There was no way we'd be able to fit Calamity in two. Or maneuver, as Steelhoof's pointed out, if there was a turret waiting for us at the bottom. Instead, we had left our Steel Ranger outcast standing guard over Calamity's packs, the duffel bag, and most of our weapons.
Oh.
Calamity would just have to wait a little while to put his battle saddle back on. I touched my forehoofs tentatively. I stared at the floor of the elevator. Finally, I asked Velvet Remedy, "Little Macintosh?" Velvet Remedy hissed. "Wrong question." I was startled by the vehemence in her voice. "You should have asked about Firelight." Oh. I felt a twinge of guilt. Pilot's not in the building according to the security system. She never got trapped in. I stopped, feeling a sinking sensation that chilled my heart and stole my breath. The elevator car stopped with a jolt as my eyes widened. If Pilot never made it inside, that meant she was still out in the pink. A whole night in the cloud meant certain death. "I asked her to go get your things, as I brought Steelhooves inside," Velvet said morosely. "But I got magically thrown in that prison, that chamber, before I could prompt the door open for her." Velvet looked at me with a heartbreaking expression. I have to imagine she gathered little Macintosh and all your precious weapons, hoarded them someplace, and then sat outside and waited for me. I cringed, a whimper strangling in my throat. But Velvet shook her head. Firelight''s a smart bird. She's a survivor. I have to believe she wouldn't wait too long. That she'd fly out of the cloud, out of Canterlot. Maybe all the way back to Glyphmark and Zenith. She turned away, but I saw the drops fall from her, making damp spots on the floor.
Oh, it's okay.
As long as the pink cloud doesn't get wet.
It's okay. She's like dog meat. Okay, she'll always come back.
Too quickly. As long as she wasn't taken by surprise. I have to believe that. Speaking with confidence I didn't really have, I assured her that she was all right. I started the elevator downward again. Tell me where it is, the mayor's voice called out, grating across my brain. My ears had popped. Clank. No! The Trixie-like second voice echoed in my head. The air shimmered around us. My lungs fought for breath. Clink, clank. Unchain us! Your goddess demands it!
Ah ha ha ha! Get
Velvet
fucked!
Remedy and I slithered across the tiled basement floor, pushing aside toppled boxes of grain and shattered plates, dropped kitchen knives and leaking packages of flour. At first, we crouched to be stealthy, but now we did it just to breathe. No, if I unchain us, you'll kill us both. You're trying to kill me already. Better we should both perish. Clink, clank, clink. I coughed, my abused lungs struggling for air. The sound was high and tight, not like a pony's cough at all, and that worried me. I coughed again, and Velvet Remedy did the same. Her cough's more like a newborn squeak toy than any noise which should have come from Velvet's throat. We both froze, ears perking and swiveling
Is
as
it
we prayed the
helium?
kitchen's other occupant hadn't heard us. We must throw the party. Our goddess demands it. The alicorn hadn't heard us. She was too busy arguing with, as far as I could tell, herself. I reached the end of the counter and peeked around it cautiously. The forest green alicorn was wrapped in heavy chains that bound her to a thick set of pipes in the ceiling. She stood there, looking around frantically, searching for something, a frightened but intelligent look in her eyes. Suddenly, her demeanor changed, her eyes looking forward with a glare, and her face contorting in rage. She lunged, throwing herself against the chains that bound her. Clank, clank, clink. I am your goddess! The Trixie-like voice raged. It wasn't the actual voice of the goddess, but some strange, pale imitation that echoed through my head. I realized her mouth wasn't moving. Everything I was hearing was in my head. All of it. But how was that possible?
Magic.
The pink cloud hindered Alicorn's telepathy. I was sure of it. It cut them off from their goddess, allowing them to regain some of their individuality again. Granted, while the kitchens were full of some sort of gas, it wasn't pink cloud, but there was pink cloud all around this building. Even as I thought that, my eyes drifted to the alicorn's flank and caught there. The alicorn had a cutie mark. It looked odd, like maybe a mist of stars, but I couldn't be sure. The mere fact that the alicorn had one at all shook my conceptions. The alicorn's flank quivered with effort as she lunged again. The chains pulled taut,
really?
holding her
Really,
back.
little Pip, huh?
I followed her gaze. It looked like she was trying to get to the ovens. I helped you. I was there for you when she was silent. I whispered to you when you couldn't bear the silence in your head. I coddled you. Me, not her. The not Trixie voice ranted. And you betray me. I will kill you for that. Without the goddess, I had surmised that the alicorns were cut off from their collective pool of magic. That they were left with just their inherent magics, the alicorn's shields, and maybe a spell or two. I had to revise that theory. Or not. Purple alicorns teleport. Blue ones turn invisible. The green ones did that weird statue thing. But what if that was part of a broader gift? The green alicorns were telepaths. Even cut off from the goddess, they still had their gift. If anything, the goddess probably borrowed that magical talent from them. I felt Velvet Remedy slide past me, slipping ahead. I looked back at the alicorn. This was our mission. The original voice was back. The alicorn stopped struggling and resumed her search. I froze again as she looked right past me and missed me. The alicorn was showing raider tier obliviousness. We're so close now. I will not fail. I watched her muzzle, but her mouth never moved. This whole argument was taking place in her head, and by extension, in ours. Then I saw something that rocked me. The alicorn's cutie mark had faded away, reminding me of a filly in my magic class in Stable 2 who tried to have her father conjure up her cutie mark early by using magic. Each time, a new mark would appear, only to fade away, just like this. Only the alicorn's cutie mark didn't just fade away. A cutie mark of a flask with bubbling green liquid replaced it. The alicorn's new cutie mark struck a chord of deja vu. I'd seen it before.
What the fuck?
A moment later, the alicorn's demeanor changed again, and as I watched, the bubbling flask cutie mark faded and a starry mist resumed its place. Why? Why go back to her? I'm better. I'm here only for you. Always. A series of rattles filled the air as the alicorn struggled against her bindings once more. I began to crawl away, shaken and a little freaked out by what I had seen.
You might as well just kill her.
Your cutie mark is an integral part of you, a symbol of your special talent. How could it change like that? Even when you were depressed, even when you were at your worst, you were still you. Your cutie mark never abandoned you. And I'm better at magic, too. She said it couldn't be done. No small rodents of any kind, she said. But I did it. I'm the one who found the spell. And I'm the one that cast it while you whimpered in a corner. Calamity was curled up in the far corner of a small cell, behind both a magical shield and a locked gate. I had to hold my breath while I hacked the security terminal that dropped the shield. At even a yard up, the air became impossible to breathe. Cracking the computer took me several tries. It was difficult to concentrate, especially with the alicorn's telepathic argument being broadcast non-stop into my head. The moment the shield vanished, Velvet and I scrambled on our bellies to his cell.
I'm pretty sure the first cutie mark, the one that was the mist and stars, was Trixie's. So I guess the second one was the green one. So, like, are those shades of the original Trixie and whichever of the two sister clones thingies those were? I think that, yeah, that's probably it.
Oh. Velvet reached her hooves between the bars, touching them to his as he slid close.
Don't even try it.
He squeaked, seeing me eye the lock. I froze, not from his warning, but the high-pitched, squeaky voice that had come out of his muzzle.
Hydrogen.
He squeak-warned.
The air's full of it. One spark from your gun or your horn and we're all roast.
It was like listening to a small woodland creature, only cuter and sillier. I snorted, trying to hold in a laugh. I tried to distract myself with the seriousness of our situation. You'd think, the terminal entry had said, after all the work we put into our talismans for the ridiculous balloons, they'd be a bit more cooperative. The Ministry of Magic had created hydrogen talismans for the Ministry of Morale. There was probably one in the high-security storage down here, and it had been activated. But if I couldn't use our weapons or magic, how was I going to get Calamity's cell open?
You can use your magic.
Better figure out something fast, little Pip.
The woodland critter voice coming from Calamity insisted.
This place is gonna be unbreathable, give it an hour. I reckon the only reason it took this long is because this place is huge.
I covered my muzzle with both forehooves, tears in my eyes.
I caught mention of there being a hangar down here.
He added squeakily. That did it. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Despite my difficulty breathing, I found myself laughing so hard I was rolling on the floor. The high-pitched sounds of my own laughter just made me guffaw harder.
Yeah, yuck up, why don't you?
Calamity glowered at me. And now, even Velvet was laughing.
But would one of you kindly get the damn key and get me out of here before that alicorn drives me crazy?
He was hilarious. I stomped a hoof on the floor, dying.
Sing us something first.
Velvet Remedy suggested, her own voice even higher.
What the fuck?
Calamity just snorted, laughing at Velvet in response. Thank y'all. Calamity said as he slipped something pink into his backpack. I blinked, realizing he'd managed to pilfer something even under those conditions. Now let's get out of here before the crazy lady downstairs manages to blow this building up to the Enclave, Calamity suggested urgently as he shrugged on his battle saddle, his voice almost back to normal. Velvet Remedy looked fretfully back at the empty elevator shaft.
I wish I had some way to help her,
she said softly. What? Help the crazy alicorn? What for? Velvet Remedy gave Calamity a stern look.
She's obviously suffering. Can you imagine having someone in your head as a constant companion for lifetimes, and then suddenly losing her? I saw her cutie marks.
Marks? Calamity asked. As in, plural?
Yes. That's
Velvet
what
nodded.
marks mean. Yes.
One of them was from one of the ponies whose videos the goddess showed us. I believe that alicorn was one of the first. She had the goddess in her mind for centuries.
Velvet looked back to the elevator again.
Then, to come here and suddenly lose that, I'm not surprised she was traumatized.
One of the first. What if it was like What if it is like the sister or like one of the two sisters?
I'm surprised more aren't.
Calamity raised his eyebrows. So the pink cloud is making alicorns insane, huh? That settles it. We need to get to the castle.
What?
Yeah, I'll explain it all later. Let's just get out of here. Within minutes, we were galloping through the lobby. Panting, I stopped and looked out at the wall of pink cloud. It wasn't lethally thick yet, not like the places where it pooled, but it was bad enough to filter out most of the light. It was past dawn, and yet it looked like it was past dusk. Was there anything he could have said, maybe? I wondered, seeing how distraught Velvet was beginning to look. Firelight was nowhere in sight, which was a good thing, realistically, but it had to be feeding her distress. The pretty unicorn mare shook her head, her white mane and its colored stripes whipping about.
No, little Pip. The only way to help the poor thing now is with years of therapy,
She said, looking at me sadly.
You can't heal true psychological trauma with a super restoration potion, or with a quick conversation of pretty words and psychobabble.
I was right.
You can if
Calamity
you're
announced.
Commander Shepard. Yeah, but you're none of you are him. That's probably a good thing too. He can be kind of a dick.
I hate to say I told you so, but, nah. After that singing bit, I'm downright happy to say I told you so. He landed at the front doors of the Ministry of Arcane Sciences and stared at us. So, I told you so.
Told us what?
Velvet asked politely as we trotted up to him. What singing? Steelhooves questioned. I found myself snickering again. Calamity nickered, rolling his eyes. The zebra's megaspell. It's still going. Sorta. I stopped snickering.
Where is it? What do you mean, sort of?
Velvet questioned. We should leave this building, Steelhooves reminded us. Calamity nodded to him. Right. I'll tell you when we get next door. It was morning.
How
We'd
much
lost
power
a
we
good
got?
chunk of a day, and
Oh.
the pink cloud was going to be thick enough that we wanted to take the rest of the journey in small bites. Next door to the Ministry of Technology, then across to the Ministry of Image. Finally, from there to the Ministry of Awesome. Hopefully, the rest of the Ministry buildings will be more like the Ministry of Peace than this one. We opened the door and charged through the pink cloud. The distance we'd crossed was less than a city block. I was sure we could easily make it with no distractions.
Look over there.
Velvet shouted, pointing to one of the garbage bins alongside the building. There was a smear on it that looked like a flame. I groaned inwardly, rolling my eyes, and trotted over to it. Calamity was faster and had already opened it by the time I got there. Inside were our weapons and gear. Pilot had stashed them in a bin and marked it. With bird shit.
Woohoo!
Not wanting to risk leaving anything behind,
What a smart
I
little
floated
birdie.
the contents of the garbage bin out and carried it with us, refuse and all. The alicorns were upon us, their shields up before we made it halfway. Steelhooves turned and opened fire, but Spitfire's thunder was somewhere in a mass of rotten rubbish floating behind me, and none of the weapons we had at the ready could penetrate those shields. So we ran, panting, galloping for the doors of the Ministry of Technology as fast as we could. The doors were glass. The entire front facade of the Ministry was glass, a matrix of clear panes that rose 3 stories high. The rest of the building had an elegant simplicity, stately, functional, with an almost masculine grace. The king on the chessboard. I hoped the glass was enforced somehow. Otherwise, the alicorns would just plow right through it.
Whoop! Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm ending it there. Oh man, why am I so tired these last couple days? I go to sleep once at 12 in the morning. Now I'm just fucking tired the whole week. Oh, it's terrible.